Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It's back, the terrible trio. Devil's Advocate episode 14, your favorite show of the week, my favorite show of the week. We got Dave and Johnny to discuss everything that's going on. Well, it's actually not just at Tottenham Hotspur today. The first half of the show is going to be specifically about Tottenham and the game against Brighton, and then where we're at. As you might know from watching me on Saturday after the game and then the video on Sunday, I was playing devil's advocate with myself. I don't know how I feel or where we are in the kind of ability to analyze. So I want to get the two people's opinions that I respect the most to get to chime in. I'm sure there's going to be some heated debates. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on this channel. And in just a moment, I'm going to be plugging Johnny's Twitter account, Dave's Irish Hotspur channel, plus also Sean Butler TV, where I am streaming at the same time to, if I'm entirely honest, just to try to get the watch hours up. So I'd really, really appreciate it if some of you, a small portion of you, could hit that link and go over there and spend a little bit of the show, a little bit of time on the show watching over there to trigger those numbers and smash the subscribe. And we're going to get into it. Plus, at the end of the show, or the last half of the show, we're actually going to be broadening the conversation to include a little bit about other teams. We're going to be talking about Manchester United. We're going to be talking about Arsenal and Aston Villa in what is essentially the top four race. And we're going to be looking at the European coefficiencies, because is fourth enough, or can fifth be enough for the Champions League? Well, that's all going to change this week, potentially, as the European football gets back tonight. Guys, the Spurs Talk Show, it starts right now. Dave, starting with you, my man. How are you, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, look, first of all, it's good to be back this week after missing last week's show. Great show by you two last week, by the way. You done an excellent job on it without the big dog there.
Wasn't the same without you, Dave.
It wasn't. We had a great time, but Dave, it's the terrible trio, right? The trio of doom. We need to get back and argue.
but generally, I'm good. You know, wasn't the best performance at the weekend, but got the 3 points, and it's definitely a mood changer for sure. Big up, everyone, and big up the chat.
Big up to you, mate. Thanks for coming, Johnny, my man. How you doing? How's life with you? You looking forward to Valentine's Day tomorrow?
Yeah, of course. Love is in the air. Everywhere I look around. Yeah, absolutely.
No, you'll get me demonetized. Barry Manilow got me demonetized on Saturday. Now Johnny's getting me demonetized.
He's back. He's back.
The Tsar boy.
Papa man. My love for him is superb. No, listen, look, it's 3 points. There's nothing better for a weekend feeling than to walk out of the stadium with those 3 points. You want to watch match of the day. Even people you don't like, you're happy to see. And, you know, everything just feels better, you know. So it was great to have this weekend as opposed to the last weekend when we lost a couple of points at the last minute. So it was a good balance for this weekend, and hopefully positive week ahead.
Let's I actually can't believe I just looked at the YouTube. I'm already limited ads. What on God's earth have we said in the first 3 minutes of the show that's triggered it? Before we get into it, doesn't matter. Before we get into it, let's say hello to the members. Just say hello to them quickly. Not seen a better trio since Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. I'll let you lot decide which ones you are. We got Rain Man in the house. Rain Man's saying, as long as it's done right, then I don't see it as complaining. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Let's quickly say hello to Drewzilla. Big up, Sean and the lads. You know what to do, chat. Smash those likes. Shoes off. Check you're subscribed. Shenanigans still afoot. Big up, everyone. Let's have a great show as always. Appreciate you, Drew. Always doing the Lord's work there, my man. Listen, also, by the way, I'm not sure if you support. I know you're not from Kansas necessarily, but you're from that part of the world. So, or you're living in that part of the world in America. So I don't know if you were up late.
The red shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if you were up late on the Sunday night, mate, watching, or wouldn't have been late for you, would it? But congratulations if you're a Chiefs fan. PH Family saying, analyzing and complaining are two different things. We want to keep improving, and there are a lot of things to improve on from that. 100%. This is it. We are just, when we are having a pop, it's only because we see things that we think we can improve on. 100%, my man. Roy Vikings in the house. Good day, gentlemen. Good to see you. Good to see you. Who else? Any other members in the house? Not yet. I don't think. Tom Crockett. Big up, lads. Good to see you, my man. Let's get straight into it, mate. Johnny, I'm going to start with you. Overall, right? We haven't got to go through the game in detail because I think that's been analysed quite a lot. But for me, just quickly, first half I thought was terrible. Second half, major improvements. For the first part of the second half, we got the goal. Then we went through our usual lull, finished strong, got the winner. Absolute delirium at the stadium. I walk out of the stadium though, and I'm feeling a little bit. Don't know if we deserve the victory. How much can we rely on these last minute goals? We've done it a lot this season. We are sat fourth, but we haven't really dominated a team since Newcastle and before then Burnley. Is that a sign? They often say teams that aren't playing well but getting the points is a sign of a really good team. But Tottenham aren't playing well a lot of the time and still getting the points. Is that a sign of a good team or is that a sign of something else? What's your overall take on the Brighton game, Johnny?
I think it's just more of the same, to be honest with you. I mean, Andrew stated that we're not for changing. He doesn't care if we're, 1-0 up with a few minutes to go or 1-0 down with a few minutes to go. He will play exactly the same way. He doesn't, there's no game management. I mean, let's be serious, right? Just before they scored, when Brennan Johnson gave the ball away and it came down that left flank, Ansu Fati should have scored. Okay? And that would have been the epitaph of that game, right? Here lies Tottenham Hotspur's top four ambitions potentially going out the window because he should have buried that chance, okay? Simple. And he didn't. And we lived to fight another day and they came down that same flank, Brennan, down the left-hand flank, but Brennan Johnson ran down and tapped the ball in. For me, it masked a lot of things that aren't right. There are many fans that don't care about, they only care about the result. I care about the result, of course. But, I'm not going to bury my head in the sand and say, well, we got 3 points. What are you worried about? There's plenty to worry about. There was so much wrong with certain elements of that game. The first half was shocking. I just don't feel like we're learning our lessons at all. I don't know. That first few minutes, Big Vicarios made 2 fantastic saves. The one from Danny Welbeck was superb.
World-class save. 90 seconds in, Johnny, right?
Yeah, fantastic. And the save from Mitoma from the left-hand flank was also superb. So theoretically, we could have been 3-0 down, right, at the start. That's how bad we were. So we can just say, forget about that. But I can't, because our job here is to analyse the game. And analysing the game, we got away with one. But does it balance itself out in the end of the season with the ones you got away with? But we've done it a lot. We got away with it at Sheffield United, right? Last minute, where we didn't play well. We got away with it at Liverpool last minute, where really we struggled to beat 9 men. So I think there's that underlying theme still in there. We'll come back to, I'll let Dave talk now, but there's one reason why I think, for me, a lot of this is going on. But let's hear what David's got to say.
Yeah, Dave, let me just, before you come in, let me just extend the question to you. But beyond just how did we play against Brighton? Take a little bit of time in your answer to kind of give your thoughts on Brighton as well, because I think that it's great. I think they were fantastic, and their technical abilities are something to behold at times, especially in that first half. They sliced through us. I'm not even entirely sure if Tottenham could have done, or any team could have done much about it. When Brighton want to play, they are a brilliant team, and against teams that let them play, like Tottenham do, then they're going to have some chances, right? So, yeah, include that in your answer, mate, over your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, look, before I get going, and I've seen it a lot recently, especially over the last week, that you can't seem to give any fair reflection on where Tottenham are at the minute without everyone saying you're being negative, you're not backing edge. First of all, I want to clarify, I speak for nearly the whole Spurs fan base. Everybody is behind Ange Postecoglou, not a problem. And everyone is behind this football team and understands that we're having a very good season compared to where most people thought we'd be at the start of the season. However, if you want to improve, you have to be able to highlight weaknesses, take them on board so that you know where to become a better team going forward. So first of all, anyone that tries to come in the comments now or after and say, Dave, you're just being negative, get behind the team, blah, 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 go back and listen to what I've just said. If not, you're just not listening. So now on to the performance. No, because I'm sick of it. I get it all.
No, I hear you, mate.
I've been getting it all weekend. I'm absolutely
I've had it all weekend.
Same.
Anyway, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. The performance was absolutely crap. From minute 1 nearly all the way through to minute 90, we absolutely got away with one. We may as well ran around with balaclavas at the end. We completely robbed 3 points. And it wasn't good enough. I think most people are excited going into it. We have no excuses for bad performances anymore, for ups and downs. We've got our best team back available. I'm hoping now that everyone is back going forward, it will get better as we go on. However, there were so many things wrong at the weekend. I just think in possession, nowhere near good enough. Sloppy, couldn't even string 2-3 passes together, kept on breaking down. And then out of possession, I don't think we worked hard enough to be able to get at Brighton to stop them from playing personally either. You know, the press, one thing that's absolutely driving me mad this season is that press in the first 10 games was absolutely key and crucial to what we were doing. Everyone went, wingers, striker, centre midfielders and fullbacks all went up, and we stopped teams from playing short ball out. And ultimately what they were doing is the goalkeeper was kicking it long, Romero or Van de Ven were picking up, and we were just going straight back at them. That press has not been there since we started carrying injuries. And until we get back to that, handball will not look the same compared to it was the first 10 games, because teams will find a way to be able to pass out from the back if your press isn't on. And that's what Brighton done a number of times. And as soon as they got it out, they hit our flanks. Another thing that wound me up, we're trying to go through the middle of Brighton again. They just they blocked up the bodies. Where we were getting our chances, or where we were starting to create chances, is anytime we got the ball out wide and we were trying to put it in the box. We done that a bit more in the second half, and ultimately that's where we end up going and getting the winner. And the fact that we hanged in the game, we know from the reverse fixture, we scored 2 late goals, and I had a feeling all game, if we hang in here till the end, we will go and nick it, because, you know, Brighton sort of tire out towards the end, and they did, and we got over the line. But no, the performance was nowhere near good enough. Ultimately, I felt completely let down considering we had our best players on the pitch.
Can I just add to that, right? I mean, look, the one thing you know about Brighton, if you press them, you have to press them. And if you don't press them with enthusiasm and passion and fire, they will play right through the press. And that's what they did right from the off. We had a half-hearted press. What Dave said is exactly right. Half-hearted press. And as I said before, you know, Ansu Fati almost nicked it for them. And he should have done, to be honest. The one thing I wanted to bring up, Sean.
Yeah.
Look, Mourinho, Conte all complained that we were too nice. Okay? And we learned the housery, right? I won't say the words in case you get...
By the way, since I moaned, I was like, it's 3 minutes in, what's going on? It's gone back to green ads. So we're doing okay at the moment.
Okay. So the housery, the poo-housery, right, that he told us, and he tried to teach us to have a bit of fire in our belly. We're too nice. But our football was poor. Now we've got to the stage where our football is much better for everyone to see, but we're too nice on the pitch. I mean, I'll take that Brentford game, for example. First 2 minutes, Ivan Toney's fouled Pedro Porro with a nasty clip around the ankles twice in a row. Pedro Porro, while the referee's called Tony over and he's about to give him a mouthful, Pedro Porro's jumped up, he's gone to the referee, no, it's all right, and he's shaken Ivan Toney's hand. What is that? Right? Then he goes 2 minutes again up the field, Tony fouls again. So what's happened is you've already got into the referee's mind. Whereas if you hadn't gone in there, right, and he'd had the word, the next foul, he's got a yellow card. These are things that I just believe that you have to engage with the referee. You have to do things sometimes that gain an advantage. It's the small things. If you do nothing and the opposition's constantly in your ear, there will come a time where you will gain the advantage. And the other thing is, I just feel like we're being bullied. What I didn't understand, okay, we're going to sort this Vicario thing out, okay?
Oh,
the goalkeeper.
Why have we got James?
Why have we got James?
I'll let you talk over this, right? Because I'm just bringing this up.
Yeah, why is James Maddison being the bodyguard? What I mean,
I can understand why.
What you mean to leave Vicario and what's the name free?
Do you know what it is? I think Maddison's the bodyguard because usually, typically, from my experience growing up and playing football and that, you tend to put the player on the goalkeeper that you think isn't going to have an effect on your sort of set piece going to clear it if they do swing it in. So I think that's why James Maddison is there to try and just free up Vicario so he can get free to come and punch it. But also then we've kept Richarlison, Van de Ven, Romero, people like that free to be able to go and attack that corner if it does come in.
I think personally, I think Richarlison's the one. Once you start pushing Richarlison's in there, pushing them out, they're not going to do anything. And can I just say...
But have a look at this though, Johnny, just for a second, okay? Right, so we're doing some sort of zone, but let's be honest, Brighton haven't exactly got... Like, they've got one man on the left. I'm not sure if you can see my my mouse on the... But you've got Bentancur and Udogie marking number 5. I'm not sure who that is. You've got Decky standing off 29. Richarlison there at the far post, who's on... Again, I don't know who those... I can't see the numbers or the players, but... Welbeck's there causing mayhem, and you've got James Maddison in front of him, and then you've got the other 3 or 4 players here doing some sort of zonal, right?
Yeah.
But they haven't overloaded the box. They've got 1, 2, 3 players at the top here out of the box. They got another one out of screen on the left-hand side. To me, as you play this through, I don't know what Maddison's doing. Like, why can't he just be walking a little bit, like pushing Welbeck out of the way? The referee's already come in to have a moan about it. And then if Richarlison is the solution, what's going on at the back post here as Maddison gets pushed out the way? Look at that guy. He's completely lost. Oh, no, sorry. It wasn't. It was number 30 and Udogie's man that's broken. So he was being double marked by Udogie and Bentancur, and he's broken off and smashed Vicario. So let it play through here. Smashed him into the back of the net. If that's a better corner kick, Vicario's got no chance. 2 players aren't doing their job. Udogie and Bentancur let that guy go. If you can see it again, I'm not sure who he is.
You know where it's worse. You know where it's worse. If you look at the Everton goal last week, we had at one stage six Tottenham players on the left-hand side of the goal and only 2 on the back post, and most of the Everton players at the back. I'm not quite understanding why we're setting up like this. I really don't. The one thing I know is we had the Italian set-piece coach, and Tottenham were going through a stage where we were the best we've been for years on set pieces. Unfortunately, Ange didn't like him. He's got rid of him. And now we have Mason. Okay? Now, I've only got to look at Arsenal set-piece coaching, right, which I think is like the NFL playbook. Their set pieces right now are the best in the league, without any doubt. And we seem to have fallen by the wayside. Just want to see a little bit more, I don't know. Surely our set piece coaching needs to be better. I'm not sure. And by the way, the person who kept going on about, I don't know if it was Rez or someone, about the XG. What did we do before XG? We used our eyes, right? Before XG came about, right? And I don't care if XG didn't exist, and I'm watching that, and I did a poll, and I asked 100 people, did Spurs play well? Did we deserve to win? I would be amazed if the vast majority didn't say, no, we didn't. We didn't play well. So XG is great in certain situations, but I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, no, I don't bother with XG stats. It's either in the back of the net or it's not, to be brutally honest with you. And I think people are dismissing a lot of the good chances that Brighton had and a lot of the good half chances that they didn't take as well. So I think people are only maybe looking at that through a Spurs lens and just looking at the stat and just going, oh yeah, we were the better team on the day. Go and look at it. We couldn't string 3 passes together most of the game. There's no way we can be. But look, when it comes to the set pieces, it's been a huge problem since Jose Mourinho. We haven't been able to defend them properly whatsoever. For me, you know, I think it's just about desire. Who wants to be that man to go and meet that ball and clear it every single time it comes in? And I just don't think any of our individuals defending set pieces have that sort of desire about them to be able that to soon like what a Vidic used to be. Any set piece that used to come into United's box, he's always there. Boom, gone. John Terry for Chelsea, boom, gone. You know, we don't have that sort of player at that back line or anyone in the team that wants to be that guy. And that's why we're being bullied from set pieces. Plus, this is something I've accused Tottenham of for quite some time. I think they use set pieces as a bit of a break. They switch off personally. You know, Johnny, you took a video earlier on.
Yeah. Huh? They catch their breath, but in the end lose their concentration a little bit.
Because it's so intense. It's so intense to play. You know, we've seen, Timo Werner complain that he had to do, 750-meter sprints in the first 10, 15 minutes.
Well, speaking of that, right, because I could forgive Destiny Udogie for being shattered. You know, the amount of work he. Sorry, Dave. Finish your point, mate, and then I'll round off on the. I just think we use set pieces as a bit of a break. You know, Johnny took a video there not so long ago of a carrier physically having to go out and put players in positions for set pieces. That should not happen. They should already know exactly who they're picking up and where they need to be. And it comes back to something that I've said for quite some time. And I also think if we had this player against Brentford or this sort of guy against Brighton, you sort things out very, very quickly on the football pitch. Right now, I think we've got a squad that will do exactly what the coaches tell them to the letter of the law. But there's no one on that pitch that can go, hang on, guys. You know, for instance, Brentford. Why do we keep playing it down the middle? Why aren't we getting back to getting out wide where we were creating our chances in the first half? You don't have someone walking around during the Brighton game, lifting people up, either going over them and assessing them. Did they need an arm around the shoulder? Did they just need to be absolutely rollicked and told to sort of wake up a little bit and get into the game? We don't have anyone that does that, and that's where you see it carrying over for set pieces. As soon as the ball goes dead, everyone's taking a bit of a breather, which I don't blame them. You know, most players do that during football, but there's no one there to get them switched straight back on and say, right, guys, come on. Everyone into their positions. We don't have that talker. We don't have that organizer. And until we get it, I think you'll continue to see more of the same personally.
Is that Tez, by the way? I was just going to say, Tez, that I'm talking about scoring corners.
They scored 20%, 20-odd% of their goals.
I'm talking about scoring. Just to say what you were saying, Dave, the strangest thing is the difference between this season and last season is one thing that we didn't count on. The person who cleared the most corners was Harry Kane.
Harry Kane, yeah.
He was our number one.
And Emerson Royale was fantastic at back.
Surely Richarlison has to be our most this year as well.
Now, Richarlison this season has cleared more headers than anybody this season. Wow. But Harry Kane was consistently.
Yeah, he was great. And Emerson Royale, who's not playing at the moment, right? So I love Emerson Royale in the air. I think he's back post beast, if I'm honest. Well, the BPB, we're going to call him.
So taking him out, that might be a reason why we're not so dominant defending. But
that's very, very likely the case. Just want to quickly say a shout out to Jory, who has joined as a member of the show. Big up, Jozza. Thank you very much for the support on the channel, my man. I really appreciate it. And I know you reached out to me and you want to come on. We're definitely going to get you on this week for a show if you're around, mate. I'll catch up on text about that. Good to see you, mate, and thank you for the support. Just talking about the fitness for a second. Brennan Johnson after the game, I want to turn the conversation positive after this topic just happens to come up now because of the fact that we're talking about fitness, not for any other reason. This is Devil's Advocate, and I am going to now put out the Devil's Advocate about Tottenham's overall performance because there's another side to the story. However, with Brennan Johnson, he scores the winner, and I think it's a great finish. Pressure's on, right? He would be difficult to miss it from the area that was in, but still got to get the job done, and he's getting the job done. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I feel like Brennan Johnson's a little bit of a metaphor about Tottenham at the moment. Like the overall performances aren't spectacular, but the output is there or thereabouts, right? Tottenham sit fourth in the league. We're getting it done, and we're not playing anywhere near as well as we were at the start of the season. We're going to come to that side of it at the end. But the other part of the metaphor, we're talking about fitness, talking about Tottenham being tired. Brennan Johnson says afterwards, the reason I didn't celebrate more kind of violently or whatever is because he was tired. Guy only played 27 minutes.
He didn't
Like,
even run.
what's going on? What is going on, Dave, with his fitness? I've been saying it since Wolves, right? I went to Wolves and I watched him second half.
Said it.
We both said it, right? I was like, what is going on? You were there with me, weren't you, Johnny? Like you're puffed out of you're 22 years old. You're not a big lad. You're slight. You should be able to move for days and days and days. But he's absolutely shattered all the time. And I thought maybe if that's the case, get his fitness up, get his base level fitness up, and then let him play the second half where his fitness isn't going to be a problem. He comes on in the 67th minute or whatever it was, and he's tired by the 95th. Dave, what's going on with Brennan Johnson's fitness? Is it a concern, or am I being stupid here?
No, 100% it's a concern. I mean, it was there all game. There was one stage he gave the ball away and he just jogged back and Brighton actually nearly scored from it. I think it was Matoma or someone like that.
Yeah.
And he's there jogging back. Every time he went in behind, he kept on losing the ball and stuff like that. And there was no work rate from him. Even Richarlison, for instance, right? He's still out there. He's still hunting down the keeper, towards the end of the game. You're okay, Brennan Johnson, he's the only out ball. Go and sit on him. Stop them from playing that ball. What does he do? Wait for the ball to be passed and then jogs over. And that's why teams are just finding their way out, passing around us. Look, when it comes to Brennan Johnson, I'll be brutally honest, I find him a really, really, really frustrating player. I don't think his performance was anywhere near good enough. If he didn't score, everyone would be ripping him apart this week or critiquing him this week on his performance. And Postecoglou got away with one. Kulu was the driving force in that second half, that good start, getting us going, balls down that right-hand side, taking it in, driving us up the field, played the great ball for Papa Sar's goal and stuff like that. And then Postecoglou already had his mind made up and just took Kulusevski off, even though he was sort of changing that game. Personally, Brennan Johnson, he's doing all right as an impact sub in terms of if the ball's down that left-hand side, all he's got to do is get in on the box and send that home, which is fine. But if we're talking about a player, and even the people that love him that might say, Dave, you're being harsh. If you love him that much, then you should understand that he's got so much more work to get into that first 11 if he wants to break into that first team. And until he does that work, he won't. And for me, I think Postecoglou is doubling it down on it because he paid £50 million and it's sort of, he's the guy he picked. I can understand that, but Brennan Johnson, for me, is just highly frustrating. I think he's got a load of great attributes. The pace, driving in there at the right time. That's not the first time we've seen that this season. But there's so much more to his game that is lacking that he needs to, he needs to be able to show.
A lot of that is based on fitness, right? A lot, if he is shattered, a lot of the misplaced passes late on, a lot of the when he runs the ball out of play, a lot of that is because you're gassed. If you are absolutely. I played rugby to a decent level, right? And when I was a kid, and when you are shattered at the end of like you bottom of a ruck or a maul or whatever, and you've been throwing your stamina out the window, the next time you get the ball, I'm far more likely to make a mistake. You're going to drop the ball, you're going to miss the tackle, whatever, because you're absolutely shattered. And I think this guy doesn't have a strong enough engine at the moment for.
I also think he's starstruck.
Really
Being brutally honest. I think when he enters the fray, he's absolutely starstruck. I don't think, he's too busy watching others, how great they are and stuff like that, rather than focusing on himself. But you're absolutely spot on, Sean. He won't come to receive the ball to be able to hold it up and, link up with players because he doesn't have the strength. And sometimes if he's tired, he doesn't have the fitness to be able to do that. That's why he's always using, play me in behind. It's an excuse for Brennan Johnson, because 9 times out of 10, them balls in behind, unless he's making them runs from the halfway line, they're usually overhit or go out of play and stuff like that. In terms of pressing, in terms of tracking back, stuff like that. All things that you can never, ever aim at Richarlison. Even when he was going through everything, he still worked like a dog off the ball. And Johnson won't do that. And it's the only reason is it's got to be fitness. Has to be.
You don't do it once a week, Johnny, right?
Or you can't.
Honestly.
It's once a week football. Next season, we're going to be in Europe, hopefully. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But honestly, we're going to be playing twice a week. Can you rely on this guy if you can't get 30 minutes out? And I don't know why he's unfit. Like, what is going on there? Like,
I've had so much. I've had so much flack, even from my own boys, about Brennan Johnson. Right? I mean, I can't call it as it is. when I go on about Brennan Johnson, they go on, what about Richarlison? That's the flip, right? Well, let's just talk about this player. For me, he was Brendan Johnson again. Okay? Brendan Johnson turned up, not Brennan Johnson. He was so weak in the challenge. I mean, like when he came on, how many times did he... For all you Johnson fans out there, look, no one wants the player to fail, right? We're not here to knock him into failure. We hope he turns it around. But, you know, if you can clearly see, if you watch enough football and you can clearly see what's wrong here, we got to say it again and again and again. This isn't 1 week. Sean and I couldn't believe what I was watching the Wolves away. He was doubled over on the phone, like sucking it up.
And the week after, and the next game I went to, I forget which one it was. Was it a home, or I forget where it was? But I went to 4 or 5 games on the bounce, home and away. And every time every time I was watching him in the second half, I was talking to whoever I was next to. I was saying, this won't be on the camera. This won't be on TV. You won't be watching this because the ball is over there, or the ball is over there. So he's nowhere near the ball. He is walking. He's sitting there with his hands on his hips. He looks like he's going to vomit. There's a massive issue with his fitness. And then I came on and I made a joke. I made a jab about him vaping. But I said it once. I got a load of flack because someone's reminding it here saying you pulled it out of thin air. And then Henry, bless him, went and took the idea, did a TikTok about it. That got shared on Twitter, and he got absolute pelters. But I distanced myself many.
It's like I have not seen a young footballer sucking it up, right? I was told at the Wolves game, he's just come back, he's been injured. But it was like in the first half of the game, 20 minutes into the first half of a football game. And like, he was frustrating because he wouldn't beat his man. He didn't, look, for me, his football IQ is severely lacking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, he got onto that ball. Okay. I'm not going to say he, didn't do well but that's his best.
You don't need IQ for that. You don't need football IQ for that, Johnny. That's common sense.
Exactly. Running onto the ball. It was a great move and a lovely finish. But I've got to be honest, when I want him to come deep and hold on to the ball, he nearly cost us the game, guys. Mm-hmm. Go back, watch the tape. He lost that ball. He didn't come back with any enthusiasm or any purpose. The guys come through and won the ball, and Ansu Fati nearly scored. It wasn't the first time. And then the ball's come over the top and he should have controlled it. Came off his knee and's gone out of play. I want him sometimes, the Brentford game. Everyone's condensed on the outside. Use your brain. It's what Dave was saying before. You need someone on the pitch. Ange always says he doesn't coach from the side, right? I want my players to take control of the game and read the game. Go wide when it's compact, right? Like a vacuum pack. Go wide and use your pace to carry the ball and make yourself available. What does he do? He runs inside.
To play devil's advocate, Johnny.
Yeah.
I'm round this topic off after we've done the positive side of him. So I've got a few super chats and I want to move on to other things.
You've got to take that as a positive.
Seven GA in 21 appearances for Tottenham in the Premier League this season, having only played 61% of minutes. So 61% of minutes is about 14 games, 13 games, right? So if you were to have the full game, 90 minutes, then he's got 7 in 13 or 7 in 14, which is a 1 in every 2. He's getting a goal or an assist. At the end of the day,
that's great stats.
They're great stats for a first season in the Premier League, right?
Sean, listen.
First season in the Tottenham team. Sorry, not the Premier League. First season in the Tottenham team.
I get that, but I don't want my footballer or any football. That doesn't matter who he is, whether it's Maddison, whether it's Harry Kane. Harry Kane doesn't turn up for 2 minutes in a game, or 4 minutes in a game, or 5 minutes in a game. He's there for 90 minutes, or near as damn it. Okay, those stats are fantastic. You can't argue with those, right? He's done the business. He's got his goals. He's got his wins. I applaud it, right? What we're asking here is we need to see more of you. We need to see more than the odd flash from a 22-year-old. I don't see Anthony Gordon there for 2 seconds in a game. There are lots of comparables, right, in the league. okay, in his position that show up for longer periods of time and aren't bent over double looking like they need oxygen.
I don't. Look, he's got a couple of assists and a couple of goals, but, you know, if people are looking at that, fair enough. I get that. But his overall game, there's so much more improvement that needs to be made. You know, and a lot of them stats are impacts off the bench when everyone else has done the job. First of all, they've worn out these opposition teams. You know, he's practically been free down that right-hand side. But let's not forget, you know, the amount he could have a lot more assists to his name, but he doesn't because he can't cross the ball, he can't pass the ball, he can't put that ball on a plate like Sonny did. He's had numerous of opportunities to be able to do that. And with Brennan Johnson, a lot of them are breakaways in behind. Fantastic. But what about teams, and this is what we're going to face the majority next season, that sit behind the ball, sit deep against us. He does not have the craft or anything like that to be able to break them down in that
Never
regard.
Takes on his man, does he, Dave? Ever.
Never. Most of what he does is straight in behind when teams fancy they can play against us. But that ain't always going to be there. That's going to be there a select few games every single season. Outside of that, he needs to be so much more better. And I'll be brutally honest.
Will he learn? Can he learn? Is he smart? Is he
22?
Of course he can. He's 22 years of age. But do you know what I have the problem with? Everyone uses as an excuse it's his first season with Tottenham. He's only 22. So is Van de Ven. You know, Adorji's first season. Look at the season he's put in. You know, Madison's a bit older, but look at the first season he's put in.
Kulusevski was 22, I think, when he arrived. Yeah.
Kulusevski, look at the first season he put in. We make too many excuses for Brennan Johnson. And I've seen this with wingers before. Bergwijn, people like that, where people make the excuses for them. Stop it. You have to demand more from your players. The price tag ain't Brennan Johnson's fault. No. However, when you look at a lot of other players' first season at Tottenham, there's no excuse for Brennan Johnson. There isn't.
Blaine's coming in here. Jory, I'm going to bring to your super chat in just a second because it's a slightly different topic. This one's bang on the topic. Blaine, big up, my man. I really hope you're well. Thank you. I've also got your member chat, which I'll come to when we do the Wolves game at the end. So I'll come back to that one. But you're saying on the Johnson conversation, in your opinion, Johnson suits a counter-attacking system under Ange because he doesn't take on his fullback. It just doesn't work. At least Werner gets you on the dance floor or to the byline. Johnson is fine as a sub. That's it. I think Dave has just answered that. Johnny, do you agree with Dave and Blaine's here?
Well, yeah, but can I just say, I think Blaine's absolutely right. But what's worrying, I was at the Brighton game like you were, Brighton away, and Pierre Højbjerg put a ball in over the top twice for Brennan Johnson to run into space. And he completely screwed it up both times. He didn't know what to do. That's what I'm talking about. Football IQ is knowing, you know, you don't want to be between a rock and a hard place.
Reading the game.
No natural ability to read the pitch. You know, is his periphery vision not great that he can't see the game? You know, a lot of players have fantastic peripheral vision. Odegaard has great peripheral vision. He can look in here, but he's well aware of what's going on the sides of him. I just don't see that with Brennan Johnson. Listen, he's 22. He's got the best attribute you can have, which is pace. What he doesn't have fire. He's soft. He's soft. I've got to be honest with you. If I was picking my school team, right, and I'm going in for a game, I reckon he'd be one of the last picks, purely from the point of view that he doesn't have that fight and passion. And I do refer to it when the players were all coming in at Spurs and the girl was interviewing them. What have you got on your phone? I've got Snake. I've got this. I've got that.
Yeah, the mum picture of his mum.
What have you got? A picture of his mummy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's a lovely kid.
Having said that, I read into that. I took that as like a signature of him being a bit of a soft lad, like a nice kid, really nice kid. But then I also see, like, I don't know. I know that people are saying that I know he said that goal celebration against Brighton was a WWE celebration. Was it also something to do with João Pedro? Was it the João Pedro? Was he a bit S-Housering, Pooh-Housery to João Pedro? Plus, he was having a crack back at Mopay, the game before, wherever it was. He was. I don't know. He seemed like a bit of a banter merchant, a little bit. I think he's got a little bit of a side to him like that, hasn't he, Dave?
And I like that about him. You know, I like that. The one with Mopay getting it back and not getting it back. But however, it probably alludes to the childish aspect of the guy. You know, and at 22 years of age, at some point, he has to stop being that young kid and start believing that he's a man. And I think that's where you will see the progress in Johnson. Once he stops feeling like a young kid in a man's world and actually feels like he belongs in this world, you know, in terms of at Tottenham Hotspur, in and around men, that, yeah, I can hang with these guys. I think you might see a different Brennan Johnson. But until he matures and grows up a bit, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing about the lad. Everyone matures at different stages. Everyone's voice breaks at different ages and stuff like that. But I do feel like, and this is a good conversation I had with my dad, that he's just a boy in a man's world right now, and you can sort of see that in nearly everything he does. And one thing that Blaine said in the super chat, I think he's absolutely spot on. And with Timo Werner, right? He's already come into the club and he's already got 2-3 assists. So what's that saying about Brennan Johnson, who's been here 6 months before that? Not a great deal if you look at it in that regard. You look at Werner, at least he tries, at least he gets on the ball and tries to beat his man. Johnson just doesn't.
But Timo Werner, I think Timo Werner had less touches in the Brighton game than Vicario.
Look, fairness to Werner, he was getting on the ball. He was looking to cut inside his man. He had a couple of one thing that doesn't help Werner is they're asking him to cross the ball on his left foot. He can't use the left leg. Everyone can see
he can't cross a road.
Yeah. And that's where he's going to struggle in this system. And same with Brennan Johnson. Until they learn to be able to cross a ball like Sonny, you go back to the Nottingham Forest game. Sonny was putting balls in from all angles to be able to create opportunities. Werner and Johnson can't do that. So they'll always have to be played in behind a high line. But again, how many high lines are we going to face next season?
Yeah, fewer and fewer, right? That to me is a question. But listen, to round off the Brennan Johnson thing, shout out to Blaine, appreciate you. For me personally, I tend to agree with you that the frustrations that we're seeing. But and I think you are landing on the point there quite nicely, Dave, about the maturity stuff. And I think Johnny, you also touched on it. Then you hope that with a little bit more time, he's on a long contract here. Like either you go in a direction which I don't think Tottenham are going to go down, where they look to offload him. I don't think that's going to happen. So we're going to have to hope that he massively improves and figures out the various areas of his game. His fitness thing, I think, is definitely is something that he needs to work on, even if it means sacrificing a little bit of his explosiveness. Because I don't think that necessarily is a part of the game that we're going to like to the point about high line versus deep, low line stuff. I don't necessarily think he's going to be able to use that as much. And so if that means that he needs to train his body in a slightly different way to get to more of a base level stamina if that means sacrifice a little bit of fitness, then so be it. Marathon runners versus sprinters comes to mind, then so be it. But, that needs to be worked on. And the maturity side, I think hopefully will come with a little bit of time, right? I think he's now playing in a higher level. And look, if we're going to be playing twice a week next season, which is where we're going to come on to now, so we're going to be looking at the other side of the argument, right? Where we are in the league. But before we do that, just quickly, because we're talking before about Jory, I didn't see the super chat, Jory. I do appreciate you, mate. He's saying Mason is nowhere near the level we need for offensive coaching. He's mostly there for a quick sack safety. I'm not sure what that is. That an NFL reference? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, a quick sack sake, as in like if we sack a player, then sack a manager. Sorry, I see it now. If we sack a manager, then he comes into.
But it's like, I mean, look, he's done it numerous times. Look, I think it was a cheap option. That Italian guy, I keep forgetting his name now, who came in, he definitely made a difference offensively to our set pieces. Why when we've got the amount of staff? I mean, I was down at Wimbledon watching the under 21s last week, and the under 18s in the cup, and I was amazed how many staff for the under 18s there are. There was about 5 coaches on the bench, and a whole load of auxiliary staff and that. And I'm thinking to myself, Arsenal have got a Gianni Vio. That's it. Well done, thank you, Darren. Arsenal have got a top coach, right? Because their set pieces, they're like NFL call plays, right? If any of you watch the NFL, they've got a variety of set pieces. They look absolutely fantastic. We look mundane, predictable. Yeah, we have scored, but I just think there's more to it. The one thing I'd like to say about Brennan Johnson and the squad, when you look at our squad, if you analyse them how many of them have gone down in value from the price that we paid after this season? I would say Brennan Johnson, you're never going to get £47 million back if we had to sell him tomorrow. I would say the vast majority, I think maybe even with Richarlison, who we paid 50 million, not 60 million, we might get our money back even for him with the goals he's scoring at the moment. But I think Brennan Johnson, most of the others have gone up in value. Vicario, Pedro Porro, Papa Sarr, Destiny. You know, I think they've all gone up in value. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Listen, we all hope he turns it round and we end up, you know, he goes on to score 3 or 4 goals, crucial goals, because he's scoring crucial goals.
Yeah.
That win us games, and we go on to finish top 4, which is what you want to talk about now.
100% it is. Before we do, guys, there's 600 people in the house. I'm not sure if you're all on the Spurs Talk Show. If you are, and you don't mind, can you hit this link I'm about to put in? I know it's very greedy of me and a little bit sly and sneaky, but I'd love it if you could spend just 20 minutes of the show. Let's go do it on like a substitute, like tag team, right? People that have been over to the Sean Butler TV channel, they can come back, and those that are now watching on here, can a few of you go over to Sean Butler TV? I'm trying to get those watch hours up. Hit the subscribe as well. Make sure you get over to Dave. I put the link just above, and also to Johnny. All of their links are in the description as well, guys. Make sure you are. These guys are taking their time out to have these awesome conversations, and make sure it's really important that you get over and subscribe and all that stuff, and follow. And with Johnny specifically on Twitter, you can find access to his socials, and he really wants to get his Instagram back where it was a couple of months ago before the copyright police got involved. Right, guys, let's talk about... Oh, I've lost my screen share. Where's it gone? Hang on a second. This is the other side of the argument, right? We spent the first 45 minutes kind of pointing out, I think they're reasonable takes, but like we're talking about Brennan Johnson, and he's getting the output, but the input isn't particularly spectacular. Tottenham, the output, look where we sit in the league. We're 4th in Ange Postecoglou's debut season in the Premier League, playing an entirely new system. We went the first 12 games of the season undefeated, I think it was. Or was it 10 or 12? I forget now. 10 games undefeated. We've had horrendous injuries, absolutely horrendous injuries. Everyone at the club, massive turnover. We've shrunk the average age from 27.4 average, which was, I think, the 4th oldest in the Premier League, now to like 23.8 or something, which is like the 3rd youngest in the Premier League. Significant transition at Tottenham Hotspur. And we are 4th, 2/3 of the way through the season, give or take. We are 8 wins away, 24 points away. Will take us to 71 points, which for 90% of the seasons in the Premier League, I think it's 94% of the seasons in the Premier League, 71 points gets you 4th spot in Champions League. 8 wins out of 14 more games. Yet we're sitting here analysing the things that are wrong at Tottenham. Are we mad to do it? Are we right to do it? Are we factoring in all of the context? Should Ange Postecoglou be given all the plaudits and none of the critique, because none of us thought this would happen this season? I mean, there is a massive slice of this argument where if you want to be glass half full entirely, then you've got enough ammo to turn around to people like us and say, what are you moaning about when you look at the Premier League table? Johnny, I'll start with you, mate. What's your, this side of the conversation? Are we right to be having a crack at times when everything looks as good as it does on paper?
I've got to be honest with you, I'm going to sound like a massive contradiction to everything I've just said just now. But I think what we've done is, look, our job is to analyse, right, and discuss, okay? So, there's no point just sitting there analysing and saying, oh, it's amazing, right? And not focusing on some of the things that are wrong. I personally think, without the injuries and the sending off that happened in the Chelsea game, I think we'd be top of the league. I honestly do. I know that sounds ridiculous to some people, but not to me. I mean,
it was a massive sledgehammer to our season, wasn't it? That 5 minutes, it wasn't even the whole game. It was 5 minutes when we could have gone 2-0 up with Sonny, missed a toe offside. Then you come down the other end, and Romero gets sent off. Van der Ven's injury to his hammy, and the penalty, 1-1, and
Doji,
Maddison goes off as well,
Maddison,
all within
Maddison,
5 minutes of each other.
Richarlison needs an operation. We lost 5 players in that one game. And you know what? I just think that where we've come from, you know, the toxicity on the pitch, off the pitch, the dreadful football, where we are now is incredible. It really is incredible. I don't think the
You
press
flip-flop,
and the
Johnny.
TV...
For God, stop flip-flopping.
I'm not flip-flopping.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, listen, I know it's a contradiction. I said it at the beginning. I know it's a contradiction. But I think the fact
we're doing brilliant, but we can also do better, right?
Look, the fact that we're sitting here criticising what's wrong, and we can clearly see what's wrong, and yet we're sat in 4th place is an incredible thing. It really is incredible. I mean, when you think about the West Ham game, I mean, my God, we dominated them. They had 2 freak goals to win that game. How we lost to them, I'll never know. 3 points there. I mean, those 3 points and the game against Wolves,
3 points. Yeah.
Wolves, you know, 2 goals in the 90-something minute. And, you know, the Villa game, we didn't deserve to lose that. The Everton,
Villa,
right? And that's with half of our... I think at one stage we had 7 first-teamers missing from our squad. I don't think enough has been made of it. I hear them talk about Newcastle. I hear them talk about Man United missing so many players, but not really in depth about us. I just think that, you know, these next few games are going to be crucial. I don't think we can afford to lose any games now. We need to go on a winning run to widen that gap between ourselves, Man United and Villa, and keep tabs on the shoulders of Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City. However bizarre that may seem, considering the way we're playing at the moment. We need to keep players fit. My lasting hope is I can see Maddison's nowhere near where he should be.
Yeah.
Right now. He's way off it. Bentancur's not at it. There are players who... I think Pedro Porro needs a rest.
Yeah.
He's played every minute of every single game. And, you know, you've got Emerson Royal there. I think he's good enough to play for a game, give him a rest for a week or two. But I think, really, how can you not be happy? I said at the beginning of the season, I thought we'd finish 5th or 6th, right? I said I think that would be a good season. But I think we're capable of it once we sign Maddison and Mickey van der Ven. I would be disappointed now. I've got to be honest with you, if we finish 6th, I'll be very disappointed because I think now there is no excuse not to go on home of the Havanas. I'll be honest. Good, sure. Dave, what are you thinking?
No, look, I'm absolutely buzzing where we are this season, and don't get me wrong, but, you know, there are things that have to improve on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We haven't won anything yet, and in order to win stuff, that's where the improvements have to be made. This first season has been absolutely unbelievable. It's way out exceeded my expectations, especially after losing Harry Kane in the summer, where everything was. Now, I knew Ange would come in here and do a good job, but I didn't think he'd get off to this much of a good start as he has. And I agree with you, Johnny. I think if we didn't carry them injuries, I think that unbeaten run would have extended further. I think we would be up in and around the title race right now. 100%. But I do feel like Ange's probably, what would I say, maybe suffered the same fate as other managers have done. Let's not forget, under Conte, we used to get off the flying starts. Under Jose Mourinho, we got off to a flying start. But when injuries and suspensions happen, and you have to rely on squad players, there's a dramatic drop-off. And it's killed seasons in years gone by. It's killed all the momentum that the first 11 players have built up. And when they come back, they struggle to get it back. And it looked like that against Brighton. My only hope is that we got over the line and they can use that as confidence now to push on and get that back. So it shows that we've got more work to do in the summer, getting players out that just cannot play this system, that when they play, there is a drop-off, whether we like it or not. Okay, it hasn't been as massive drop-off as it has been in years gone by, but we've still dropped off from where we were. So again, that's something that needs to happen in the summer. A couple of other little areas where we do need to improve, and I'm going to say this because I'm a Tottenham fan that wants to go and win something. You know, I'm not here just to take part and happy clap and, you know, sit there in top 4. I genuinely want to win something. You know what? We've scored We scored an unrivaled 8 goals in the opening 15 minutes, which shows we start very, very fast. But do we take enough advantage of the good starts we get off into games? I don't think so. We've dropped 18 points from winning positions this season. Only Brentford and Nottingham Forest have dropped more than us. Again, another area where we need to improve. If we improve that, we'd be top of the league right now. So, you know, there's little areas there within what we're doing right now that once you iron them out, we'll be fine next season. Next season is the season where every Spurs fan should be excited, you know, especially if we come off the back of another good transfer window. I would say everyone going into the transfer window, just trust in what the club are doing. They've shown that they've got a lot of it right over the last few years. So a very good start by Ange Postecoglou. No real complaints about him whatsoever. There's little things within our game that, you know, we adapt them over the summer. We'll be fine next season. I think everyone can be excited. And I get, like, you know, because and people also need to understand as well, because I don't think there's this understanding. You know, a lot of them will say, oh, but you're critiquing here and you're criticizing there and stuff like that. That's why we're here. You know, we're not here to just sit here and just go for the whole hour, 2 hours. You know, we're here to have conversations on Tottenham where we need to improve. And I hear a lot of people, like, especially saying to me over the last week or so, Dave, just shut up, just enjoy it, this, that, and the other. I am enjoying it, but I also, you know, this is, when you bring in someone, there has to be an ending. And hopefully that ending is trophies. And we have to improve. I'm not one of these that's going to ignore some of the stats I'm seeing. Because if you don't fix them, they'll come back to haunt you next season when everyone expects us to go on and win something.
It is part of the... I've got a super chat from Blaine, and it's really important. I'm going to bring it up in a second because it's a really good cause, and I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about it for him. But before, just to round off this topic, or just whilst we're on this topic in a second, is part of the reason why I guess some parts of the fan base are a little bit more frustrated, despite how good everything is when you zoom out a little bit and you put that stuff into perspective. Is it maybe because the best version of Tottenham this season was at the start, then you had the injuries, and then now we've got some of the players back. We were expecting everything to go back to how it was in the first 6, 7, 8 games, or maybe even the first 4 or 5 games when we were playing unbelievable football. Like Ange Ball, I love Ange Ball in theory, hypothetically, on paper, on practice. When we're playing it, it's amazing. But like of late, and I get it, there's obviously considerations around, even though you've got your first 11 back, they're not all fit. Some of them have been away. So I get all the context. But we haven't torn a team apart for a long time. We haven't had consistent, like, penetrating football since the first 4 or 5, 6 games against Burnley. You know, Newcastle maybe was the latest one back in December.
Only 2 games.
So I guess my question is part of the reason why there's concerns or frustrations, despite how good it looks on paper, is because now we've got our first team back, yet we're not playing the same tempo, the same standards as we were at the very start of the season, when these players had far fewer minutes, hours, weeks of preparation around Ange Ball. And so the question marks around, like, are other teams figuring us out a little bit? Like, they've got more of a sample size of how Tottenham's version of Ange Ball is played, and they've found ways to kind of negate us, frustrate us, take advantage of our vulnerabilities. But maybe Tottenham aren't spending enough time thinking and preparing for other teams. I just wonder whether that's part of it. It's more around, like, everything's doing brilliantly, we're doing brilliantly well, but we're not firing on the same level as we were right at the start of this. And so therefore, is there concerns that maybe it's not sustainable?
I think
I'd even argue, just quickly, just add on to it and let you come in, Johnny. I'd even argue at the start of the season, we still weren't ripping teams apart the way we probably should have.
Sheffield United at home. You know, I listen. He says we're not for changing. Okay, we don't care about the other team. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to flip now onto the other side because I'm a flip-flopper, right? No, I'm just analysing. Right? Look, if I'm going into a fight, if I'm a boxer and I'm going into a fight, okay, and I'm fighting a southpaw, do I say I don't care how he fights, right? This is how I fight. This is how I am, right? I'm not changing for anything, right? And then you get knocked out because you haven't analysed the fact that he's a southpaw. Or when you fight a player, another fighter who doesn't have a long reach, and you've got, who's got a long reach and you don't, and you're going to go in there and you just get done by the jab, right? Because you've not worried about the other person's tactics or the other person's attributes. I think teams understand Ange Ball. They know that we play so inverted at times, a ball over the top every single time. If you've got speedy wingers like Matoma or whoever it may be. I mean, I think against Brentford, Brian Mbeumo would have absolutely destroyed us personally in that game. Mitoma, Matoma that hadn't just come back.
He was incredible, Mitoma. He's such a good player.
But my point here is that, I used to complain with Conte. There was one way of playing, right?
So did I.
But the difference is with Conte, he played one system that was defensive. So no matter what happened, players played with fear, right? If a player gave the ball away, they'd rather pass backwards than lose the ball. But with Ange Ball, they're encouraged to pass the ball forward. And if you lose the ball, don't worry. It's part of our system. So, but
if if Conte had this squad,
it wouldn't look anything like this.
But if he had this squad, would Conte have got more juice from the squeeze than Ange has?
It would just look totally different. I think it would
different
totally
style of football. But if he had Van der Ven, Romero, and Dragusin at the back rather than Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, and Clement Longley,
do you think he'd still play a high line? I'm not sure he'd play a high line. Not a
no. I'm not saying would he play Ange ball. I'm saying if you had Conte ball, but with this particular squad,
I think we'd be better.
We'd probably be second, right?
I didn't like Conte, right? Because
I hated Conte ball. I don't want to go back to that.
I don't like a manager that doesn't assume any responsibility for anything that happens, right, and blames everyone but himself. But
yeah, 100%.
So what I'm trying to say here is that I'd like to see a hybrid of Conte ball, that sort of a Mourinho ball, that nasty dark edge to it, and a flexibility. I don't mind if you've got plan A, but can we tweak plan A a bit, right? We're playing. Look at everyone said, "Oh, Pep's got one game." No, he doesn't. When Manchester City played us, they knew we had no creative midfielder at all. So all they do, compress the ball so we couldn't break their high line. And they were almost in our own half most of the game. They knew what to do. And I think Sean Dyche did a job on us. I think Thomas Frank did a job on us. Because
David Moyes, the guy who just got 6 but could have been 9 put past him at home, did a tactical job on us. Let's be honest.
So what I'm saying to you is, because they know the game,
they're preparing. Like they do match-specific preparation. I'm not sure if we do.
What we're saying is what Angie's saying. We don't care what you're doing, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Gary O'Neill, great tactical coach. I don't care what you're doing. This is our game. This is how we're going to play. Well, I'm sorry. Is that arrogance or naivety? I love Ange. I think he's been a breath of fresh air for the club. But I don't understand.
You can love someone, be happy they're here, but not necessarily have to think that or conform to this idea that they're perfect. Like you can still have an opinion on what they do, right? Go on, Dave. Go on, mate. Sorry, boss.
No, do you know why I don't think Postecoglou has that sort of plan B or worries about the opposition? Because when his football is in full effect, you don't really have to worry too much about the opposition. You go back to, they don't get that many, breakaways on us if we were playing it to full effect, keeping possession the way we're supposed to, score the goals the way we're supposed to, be as clinical the way we're supposed to. I think once we get to that point, you won't have to worry too much about sort of a plan B or worry too much about the opposition. You go to the West Ham game. We got caught because we were sloppy in possession. Brentford, the first half, we got caught because we were sloppy in possession. Later on in games, we're getting caught because we're sloppy in possession. And the substitutions we've been making, one thing about Man City and Liverpool, they've been able to change the game from the bench at times this season. I can count on my hand twice where we've been able to do that this season. A lot of the other times we haven't. And what's absolutely crucial for Ange Postecoglou is to have them options off the bench that when he brings them players on, they can continue doing all the good work that everyone else has done up to that day. But a lot of times when we bought players off the bench, we end up surrendering midfield. We can't hold the ball up in the forward line. We can't get forward. And then teams are just coming at us the last few minutes. And that's where you're seeing that stat of, I think, 8 or 9 goals that Tottenham have conceded from the 90th minute onwards and stuff like that. So until we get to that point, until we give Ange Postecoglou all the tools he needs, you're going to see ups and downs within this system. And it's been the same with every manager that's been here with the way they want to play. You're going to see up and downs until they get the squad that they need. You know, when you give them that, you will see the full Ange Postecoglou effect. Like Jurgen Klopp. When Jurgen Klopp first came into Liverpool, he was implementing his stuff. And although there was players there that couldn't do it, they rode it through and they carried on. And then all of a sudden, once everything was his squad, look at the difference it went on to make. He knew exactly what changes to make, how to handle it, how to handle individuals. When you've got a squad of players and some of them that Postecoglou clearly doesn't want to use or clearly doesn't think they're good enough, it can cause disruptions. It can cause, a drop-off and stuff like that. So for me, I think you just got to wait till next season till we bring more in here in the summer, and then we can actually make, changes off the bench, because Postecoglou doesn't want to be taking players off and sitting back and changing his game plan. Postecoglou wants to keep going, pin teams back in their own half in the last 15, 20 minutes. But when you're bringing on Johnson, who cannot hold up a ball, when you're bringing on Gill, who won't hold up a ball, when you're bringing on Skip or Højbjerg, where you don't know how consistent their passing is going to be, it then becomes problems, and it creates problems for all the other good individuals around them. So for me, I think, again, you just wait till the summer, give them a good bench to work with. I think you'll see completely different next season.
We haven't controlled a game of football. I mean, we heard Ange Ball was all about possession of the ball and control of the ball. I haven't seen 65, 70% possession that we're talking about. But you're absolutely right, Dave, what you're saying, because Ange Ball, in the opposite to Conte ball, where you're encouraged, if you lose the ball, you're going to hear it, right? He doesn't want you to lose the ball. Even little passes, backwards, sideways, round, anything but forward, if you think you're going to lose the ball. The percentage risk, he does not want you playing that risk ball. Spurs now, under Ange, want to play the risk ball again and again and again. Now, there are certain players who can play that football, as you quite rightly said, and there are others who are just not up to playing that ball and playing that ball. I mean, look how Romero plays that ball out from the back.
He's the best passer in the centre back in the Premier League, in my opinion.
I mean, he's unbelievable.
Jesus, you feeling all right, Sean?
Well, Romero. There's not a better centre back in the Premier League that passes the ball out with as much zip and accuracy. In my opinion, the stats might completely dismiss that, but in my mind, I think he's better than Van Dijk. I think he's better than Saliba. He's better than the tractor that is Gabriel. Like, he's better than Clement Longley at Villa and Konza and all that. I don't think there's a better ball playing centre back in the Premier League, and I think it's his best asset. If I'm entirely honest, his best asset.
I'm clipping that. I never hear you praise Romero. I'm clipping that and running with that. I love that.
What do you mean? I love Romero.
I
give him a hard time because I know it offends Jacob. You watch, if Jacob's watching this, whenever I mention Romero, Jacob's name, United Spurs of America, suddenly pops into the chat. He doesn't pop in unless Romero or Sonny get some slander, and then he comes in.
That's when he pops up. Yeah. I would just go on to say, look, let's if we analyse it and step back, we're 7 months in to a project, and as Dave quite rightly mentioned before, which I've mentioned personally myself before, that Klopp in his first season, I remember us playing them. I think it was Wembley. Was it 4-1? Did we beat them? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, we ripped them up, didn't we?
We absolutely ripped them apart. Who's this Jurgen Chop? Right? I mean, he was terrible. I mean, the team were all over the place, right? And
Jurgen Pork Chop.
Pork Chop, yeah. Clippity Clop, right? They were terrible. But what you could see was, as that season went on, you could see the progression that was happening. And when you consider we're 7 months in to a project, I think it's amazing that we're in this position now. And I hope that we don't go that word that I hate to use between now and the end of the season. 14 games, 8 wins, and we should be there.
Be enough. We're going to talk about that in the last segment. I do, in the next segment. But I've got a couple of super chats, and I want to make sure I give Blaine, guys, I'm sure you guys who watch the channel know Blaine is an absolutely insanely generous guy. He supports all the channels that I think he's familiar with or is aware of, and he's always here helping out with the in the chat as well. Absolute sensational guy, and he's just let me know. Appreciate it. He's saying, "Sure, not often asked for much back, but I'm doing a virtual cycle for charity from Belfast to Dublin and back. I've posted the link on Twitter. Donations welcome." Shameless plug over. It's not shameless at all, mate. It's for a wonderful case. Let me
Uniting Ireland, Blaine. Uniting Ireland. Huh?
Belfast to Dublin. That's not easy, by the way. Do a virtual cycle through the Curragh of Kildare, Blaine. That's where I live.
He's doing it for can you see it? Is my screen up? Yeah, he's doing it for Macmillan Cancer, wonderful cause. I will be donating on this as soon as the show's over. He's already reached his target, but if anybody wants to help him out, I think this is Blaine in the middle here with the birthday cake. I think this is Blaine. Pretty sure it is. But absolute legend of a guy, mate, and legend of a cause. And I wish you well. And I will. And I'm going to put the link in the chat right now, guys. So if anyone is feeling generous,
it's a very good charity. Top charity. I mean, there's lots of good charities, but Macmillan, I contribute to Macmillan. They looked after my mum as well when she sadly died of cancer. So get on there and give what you can. Thanks,
there you go, guys. There's the link. Also, if you afterwards, as soon as I get back on Twitter after the stream, I will be sharing it as well. Big up to you, mate. Good luck with it, and keep us updated. Appreciate the super chat. Obviously, you don't need to put those. Just message me, mate, and I'll put those things up 100%. But really appreciate the super chat, and yeah, Google's going to take its slice out of it, and I'm going to go and put it back plus a lot more into your campaign. So we should we'll do a different method for next time. But good luck with that, mate. Get over there and support him. Wonderful guy. Spurs GCTV is a member for 4 months, saying smash those likes, everybody. Please do, guys. I don't know where we're at with the likes. There's been about 650 people here, give or take, for most of the show, which is awesome for a Tuesday lunchtime. Make sure you get over to Johnny and Dave's channels as well, and Sean Butler TV. All the links in the description. I'll put them in the chat again in a second. Adrian Chia saying, well said, Dave. Learn the system first. The tweaks come later. I just want to actually talk about that. And also he's coming with the second one, Adrian Chia, saying, why hop on plan B when players haven't mastered plan A yet? So same sort of point. Appreciate you, Adrian. Thank you very much for the super chats. On that point, right, if you remember back when we were 8-10 games unbeaten, Ange said he's a mate. I remember, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something to the tune of, I'm amazed at how quickly the boys are adapting, and it's allowing me to expedite, to like hurry up the process of giving them more tools to work with. And so obviously then Chelsea happened, then the injuries happened, then everything kind of fell apart. Then you had the the Asia Cup and the African Cup of Nations, distraction, disruption. Do you think that, to the point that Adrian's making here, there is going to be plan B or more plan? I think there have been tweaks. In certain games, he asked the fullbacks to stay wide. Against City, for example, there was no inversion. There are tweaks against, and Man City away, he pivoted and put Højbjerg on and made him come deep and asked, I think whoever it was, Lo Celso, to come deep, pick the ball up. He has made tweaks into in-game systems, but generally speaking, plan A is plan A, and it's most of the time. Do you think, Dave, that there is more to come from the tactic once the boys get back to full fitness and the team is at its strongest, the squad is deeper, more strength in depth? Do you think there's going to be more kind of little sprinkles of magic dust that is going to come out of his mind?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And where I think that's going to come from is I think we'll take more risks going forward. Right now, going forward, I think we play everything very, very safe, because we don't want to get the ball turned over, because, you know, we don't want to be being caught on the counter the way we have been the last while and stuff like that. But I think once we sort of get back to maybe where we were towards the first 10 games of the season, I think you'll start seeing us then maybe take a lot more risks going forward. Personally, because I think we're too safe going forward. Everything's 5 yards. Everyone's passing it across in front of people. No one really wants to play them balls in behind. No one really wants to hit crosses in the box for Richarlison to go and attack. And I think once we get our pressing right, once we get turning over the ball in the opposition spot on, I think we will start taking more risk going forward. And I think that's the last thing Postecoglou probably maybe needs to add to this system.
Can I just read this that someone sent to me? I was talking about, the dark arts and being a bit nasty. He sent me this. This is what Jose Mourinho said. I'll have to obviously edit it. For 90 minutes, you cannot be nice. You have to be a bunch of canuts, intelligent canuts, not stupid canuts, bastards in the same sense that you're going to win matches, right? You have to have those. You have to have some edge to the game, right? I want to see, all very nice being a gentleman and a sportsman. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, as soon as you're gone, he's elbowing you in the back of the head, and then you retaliate and you get sent off. Yeah, no thanks.
Listen, I completely agree with you, Johnny. I think that
Bissouma got sent off. I mean, Bissouma got sent off for that dive when we were at Luton, right? Sure.
Yeah.
But look at Godfrey. He tried to get Richarlison sent off for that challenge, right? And then there was another one in the Brentford game, the midfield.
Well, I think Richarlison was being too respectful. Did you see? You see Richarlison being super respectful against Everton. You see Declan Rice being super respectful against West Ham. Did you see Conor Gallagher yesterday?
Yeah.
He didn't give a monkeys.
When did you ever see? I'm not being funny. If you'd have watched, what was the one thing we knew about Richarlison? His poo-housery, right? Okay. If he was playing for Everton before he came to us and Godfrey had done that, he would have reacted, right? And he would have been in his face. 100%. He did nothing. Respectful.
No, I agree with you, mate. I think that there is that element. And I don't know whether or not, reducing that average age from 27, whatever it was, to 23 and a half. I don't know whether or not that has had some impact. We're talking about, Brennan Johnson as an example. I've said it 1,000 times now. It's going to be my little catchphrase. Brennan Johnson right now is a metaphor for Tottenham, right? Young, inexperienced, good output, kind of shaky input, lack of fitness, a nice guy, little bit of banter, but is it immaturity? Brennan Johnson does kind of represent a lot of how I feel about Tottenham at the moment as you zoom out, and hope and lots of potential for the future.
Who's the leader, Sean? Who's the leader, Sean?
Who is the leader? Well, I don't know. When Sonny came on, when we just scored, we just went to 1-1. Sonny came on and riled the entire stadium up. And I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
But, I often see games, what Dave mentioned before, who's the person there, kicking someone up.
Pedro Porro is a bit of a leader. He'll do that sort of thing. I don't really think you see Romero doing it. I think Romero feels like a bit of an introvert that's got that lunatic side to him. Like, I feel like he probably sort of goes home and shuts himself away from the world and kind of like is a bit like, I don't know. And then when he finally comes out of the closet, he needs to absolutely smash someone,
I think he's been subdued. I feel like all our squad have been given a sedative to calm them down or something, because, he was a lunatic, we saw it at the end of the game with him and Vicario. You saw the two of them. I love that. Love that. That was a great, great moment to see that passion. The difference between those two going mental, having played 96 minutes of intense football, Maddison, who's collapsed on his legs because he can't run anymore, and we see Brennan Johnson going, I'm too knackered to celebrate, right? Okay, I just want to see a leader on the pitch, and sometimes I feel that we don't have anyone who's taken control, because Ange says it's not my job to control them once they're on that pitch, which I think is a bit of a strange comment when you look at Arteta and Klopp, who are often calling the players over and are really in there. I watched Ange on Saturday, and he hardly said a word. It was the support staff who were doing the conversations and talking about the tactics, not him. Anyway, go on, Sean.
I just wanted to touch on what Johnny's saying. I'll take Michael's comment in here as well.
Yeah.
I think what Johnny's maybe saying is about being too nice is when it comes to us challenging the referees as players, as a manager, and as a club. I do take the point that I think we've been very unfairly treated by the referees, and I think since that Liverpool decision and a couple of decisions that got wrong in that game, they've done their bloody best to rectify it. You know, we don't get the fair rub of green when it comes to the referees, when it comes to tackles and cards and all that sort of stuff. We do not get, even VAR, we never get the fair rub of the green. We don't get many penalties as you see other people giving and stuff for cheap stuff and all that sort of stuff.
Have we had a pen, Dave? Have we had a pen?
I think we have one.
No, we haven't had any pens.
No pens. But there, yeah.
No.
Says it all,
Like,
doesn't it?
I think at the start of the season, we got away with, there was inconsistencies in VAR generally. Like Romero, you know, there was a Man United, we should have given away a pen when Romero handball. That wasn't given. Then a couple of weeks later, it was at Arsenal. So I think we got away with some bits as well. Like I think we always look through the VAR.
How many handballs though was there in the opposition area where we haven't got penalties for? Likewise, to get
no,
it
that's
back.
what I'm saying. I think
that
that's generally
speaking,
speaking,
players in the opposition area where they haven't even gone back to look at it. But as soon as Romero clears the ball and catches a player, straight away focused in on it.
100%, 100%. I think that there is,
Dave, just to add to that. Yeah, just to add to that, how is it that we've won the ball more than any other team in the final third? We got more touches in the opposition box, and yet we haven't got a penalty.
We did get a pen. We did get a pen. The boys are letting us know now.
One penalty, Son scored. Beg your pardon. What game was that? Newcastle. Sorry.
Yeah.
Johnson, Richarlison against Brentford, Nathan Collins. Well, you know, I was that not given as a goal in the end. He didn't touch him.
Listen, I think since the Liverpool game, I try to be as unbiased as possible, take my hat off, because I do realize that there's always this propensity to remember the ones that you feel hard done by, especially if there's you know, similar things given elsewhere in the league, and then you forget the ones where you got lucky or you got away with one. And I think at the start of the season we got away with a couple that other teams got away with a couple against us, but it kind of all evened out. Since Liverpool, I think we've had absolutely no rub, and I think so many teams get the rub against us. You know, and I think it's been a disappointment.
Do you know what? And I think I said this the last time I was on, which was 2 weeks ago. You know, many people mocked Arteta, mocked the club, you know, and any other manager that comes out and speaks about, people are very quick to jump on their case. But what it does do, it makes the referee think twice going into them games, thinks twice about blowing his whistle. It makes VAR check everything, because there's such a scrutiny on the referees. If they don't get it right, they know it suits what Arteta and all are saying in the press. So they check 100%. Absolutely everything. Because we do not complain. We don't complain as players on the pitch and surround the referee. And Ange doesn't use the press conferences to have a go at the referees, and the club don't put anything into Pogmol or try and have meetings with them to discuss and get answers for decisions. They're just taking advantage of it.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. There's a phrase in life: the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you don't ask, you don't get. Sorry, the squeaky 100%. Wheel gets the oil, right? And you know, Arteta, Klopp, they are masters of saying things like implicitly, kind of just making things out there, and then obviously that when that doesn't work, they'll just come straight out and call it a disgrace. It's a disgrace, and then they end up getting like the rub, right? When Ange basically turns around and goes, "Oh, I'm not going to worry about that. It is what it is. You know how I feel about VAR," and then that's basically it. All you're doing then is casting a shadow over the concept without dialing in on the nuance. And if you just cast a shadow over the concept, but you're basically telling those people don't want you anyway. But you're not giving reasons why. You're not giving examples. You're not going after the specifics. And I think that is a little bit naive. Once again, I think that we need to grow up a little bit as a team, as a football club, and play the dark arts, like you're saying, Johnny.
Can I
just quickly to just one second. Michael asked a question a while back. Did you cover it, Dave? I think the difference here from Michael, we're not talking necessarily about. I think there is a difference, right? Like, I'm not sure if we were kicking the S out of oppositions. We were getting suspensions for mistimed tackles and for diving.
We're getting away with it because they were playing.
But I'm not sure if we were necessarily overly aggressive. I think that we were having this debate. The disciplinary table, did it really represent? People were saying Tottenham are a dirty club. Why? Because you're bottom of the yellow card and red card table, or you're top of it, however you want to think of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that anyone really thought that Tottenham were a dirty team. They just mistimed a couple of tackles. Whereas now, when it comes with what we're talking about with bullying, is players crowding around the goalkeeper and pushing him into the back of the net and not getting nobody on the team is standing up for each other in that regard. I mean, there's a slight difference.
I've been
Likewise,
asked to
City, when they pressed us full press, Brighton, when they pressed us full press, we couldn't play out because they were clattering us and we were being bullied in that regard. I do think there's been a little change somewhere along the line from the intensity we were at earlier on in the season, the amount of tackles we were plowing into and stuff like that, compared to what we're seeing of late.
I've been asked to define, not just here, but in my on my posts, define bullying. What are you talking about? Define bullying. Right, well, I'm going to define it. Bullying is a combination of things. I just think that, like Dave said, we don't seem to have that aggression that we had at the beginning of the season. I feel like, Brentford knew they could push us around, a bit of elbowing after the ball's gone, going through the back of them. There was definitely poo-housery going on in that Brentford game and in the Everton game. And if you can't see that, I can't explain to you what I'm talking about here. And I think a combination of not complaining to the referee. Why is it players are going through the back of us? I mean, on Saturday, Maddison, how many times they go through Maddison? Put him on the floor. What was the referee doing? I mean, Steele was time wasting from the minute the goal went in. He was time wasting. He did nothing. They were taking the pee the entire game.
And nor did they need blue cards to get a grip of that, right, Johnny?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what we need, blue cards.
The blue cards thing's a joke. You know what? As soon as there's blue cards, Tottenham will wake up and then go, we need to start leaning into the referee. And then we're going to have about 15 blue cards against us again.
And what about,
we'll wait until the rules make it more difficult to be S-housery. And then we're going to start to go into that area of the game. Meanwhile, then Arsenal and Liverpool, everyone else completely step away from it. And then Tottenham end up with 9 men for game. Also, I don't want to get into it. In fact, that's a whole different conversation. It's a whole.
We can have a green card for all the players that don't expel, save energy.
Yeah. For those people that don't eat beans before the show. Yeah.
We can have a Christmas card for those who try to get booked just before the Christmas fixture list. So they purposely have the Christmas off. They get a Christmas card. Listen, it's a joke. We don't need blue cards.
I've seen this, guys, by the way. I don't know if you've seen this. Apparently, Paul O'Keefe. Well, not apparently, I've seen it. Paul O'Keefe put out a tweet saying Sonny's going to get a new contract extension. Good news for Tottenham, guys?
Well, listen, look, even if he sits in the blooming stands, right? I was waiting for you on Saturday, Sean, and I think I saw a 10th of Korea come out the Spurs shop, right?
I love
it, man.
I have chats with him outside the stadium, broken English, and I get the app out and try and do translations of it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. They're so happy to be at Tottenham watching their boy and their team. It's fantastic.
I've got to say, that's the one thing I'm loving about this season. The amount of people coming out. I know people hate it, or we want that shop absolutely buzzing. They must be turning over a fortune. But what's interesting, these are foreigners that have come from North America, Italy, all over, Australia, New Zealand, coming in so excited to be at the stadium. Our growth as a club since we've remained the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has been fantastic. And what with bringing Ange in, the combination of Ange for the Australias and Son, and now what's going on in America now, I think our fan base is growing hugely now, and it can only be a good thing for our club.
Fastest growing sports team in North America. You'll never sing that.
Yeah,
you'll never sing that.
Just quickly before you move on, speaking of the club shop, has anyone bought any of the retro jerseys in there lately? Especially the blue Hewlett Packard sponsored one made by Pony, because that was one I had as a child. I'm just wondering if anyone can sort of tell me about the sizing on it. Is it roomy or is it made for skinny men, which I'm not? Let me know, because I'm dying to get one.
I'm looking forward to. I'll find out for you if I get time to pop in. But the one I'm looking forward to is the partnership with Jordan, Nike.
Oh, I can't wait for that. The gear
that's going to be a rocket ship. That one.
You want to start saving your pennies for that gear now?
Yeah.
Right, guys, last topic of the day. And I do want to make sure this also includes, as many of these teams as you think are necessary. Newcastle United are 11 points behind us. So in order for them to be able to overtake us, they would need to win 4 more games than whatever Tottenham are going to win. So I don't know if you would agree that we can probably count them out. But apart from that, United, Villa, Tottenham, and then maybe if you want to, whatever. But these 3 teams, in my opinion, are battling it out for 4th. Tottenham have got a 6-point lead over United, 1 point over Villa. We're going to look at their fixtures. So if Manchester United were to try and beat us, they would have to get at least 7 points more than us. So 3 or 2 victories and a draw more than whatever Tottenham do because their goal difference is shocking. But 71 points is enough, generally speaking. Generally speaking, it's enough. And that's 8 wins for us.
I think the rush comes for us. We need to be winning these games now coming up because we've got that run in April of Liverpool, City, Arsenal and Newcastle.
And it's going to have Chelsea in there as well now because of this postponement. So the next, let's go down to this Nottingham Forest game, right? Wolves, Palace, Villa away, massive game. That is 6-pointer. Fulham, Luton, West Ham, and Forest. 3 away, Villa, West Ham, and Fulham away. 3 at home, Wolves, Tottenham, and Luton, and Forest. Sorry, 4. That's the next 7 games. What are you saying, boys? What are we saying here?
Don't you know that West Ham will turn up? For sure. No doubt.
You think we're going to beat Wolves?
Tricky.
Listen, it's going to be a really tough game. I had the privilege to sit next to, for quite a while, Gary O'Neill's agent, and he always used to talk about him. And he keeps going on about this guy who's going to make a great manager. I didn't know he was really talking about, to be honest with you. And I think he's done an amazing job. I was shocked that he got sacked by Bournemouth.
Yeah,
he's gone into Wolves, and they are playing some lovely football. And I'd like to think that with a better team, a stronger team than we put out Wolves, because the Wolves game came after the Chelsea game when we lost a lot of the players, that we can really do one with them. But Pedro Neto is back. Cunha is out, I believe. Is that right?
He's 50-50 at the moment. He's got a hammy, 50-50 on the hammy.
Well,
just quickly, sorry, I don't want to jump around too much, but how many Tottenham fans, myself included, have been screaming for Elise or Eze, as I now know his name is? Are those 2 just the most injury-prone players in London? I've never known 2 players to have as much injury issues on the same recurring hamstring things. I don't know if Tottenham should, with our medical team, I don't know, as much as I think they are both unbelievable players, Roy Hodgson, bless him, he can't get them, they come back, there's like Ryan Sessegnon almost.
I don't think they give them enough time to come back, though, as well. I think they rush them back because they're so badly needed. If you were to give them the proper time to come back, Roy Hodgson, took off one of them at halftime against Brighton and brought the other one on, and they're both injured, and then he comes on and he gets injured again. He was never fit enough. I think if they went to a bigger club, they could afford to actually let them come back properly. And I think you might see, hopefully, you would see something a little bit different.
Spot on, Dave. And another thing I would say to you, in the game, there was a VAR decision, a long VAR decision. And in the middle of the pitch, Eze and Elise were sat talking to each other, right?
Wasn't it at half time? The referee couldn't get his electronics working yesterday. They weren't playing yesterday. Sorry.
I'm talking about later in the game. They were both sitting there talking on a cold night while the VAR was going on, whilst the rest of the Crystal Palace players were stretching and keeping fit, right?
Yeah.
And keeping warm. Yeah. Those 2 were having a conversation like they were out in the park. Lo and behold, 2 seconds later, the game starts. Down goes Elise, off. Down goes Eze, off. Both with the same injury. You've got to keep stretching. You can't in the middle of the pitch, just on a freezing cold night, just stop and not keep warm.
I just worry. I think they're both spectacular players. I think Eze hasn't played a lot of football,
Leslie,
though.
with the greatest
He hasn't played a lot of
respect,
football, mate.
Don't ever come back here and compare Brennan Johnson to Eze, right? Honestly, okay.
Leslie, you're welcome back
stats
here
are great,
anytime if you want. You can stay and compare as much as you want.
Yeah. Stay as you want, Les, but honestly, devil's advocate, that is absolute swaddle.
He's playing devil's advocate, so he is. He's playing up to the role.
He's trying to get on the stream. He's trying to play devil's advocate. That's what he's doing. Big up, Leslie.
Good. Yeah, you got a response out of me, Leslie. Well done. You rattled my cage.
So Tottenham against Wolves, difficult game, right? Chelsea. Then we've got, I think, 2.5, 3 weeks off or something. It's, what is it, 17th of Feb until the 2nd of March, right? I think it's 3 weeks off. It's a ridiculous break.
Is that a good thing?
No. Completely destroys your momentum, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus, what am I going to do between then?
I don't know. Got no idea. That's why I started the second channel. I'll talk about other teams for a little while. Preparation.
I start doing TikTok dances or something like that. I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. But if we want to finish, if you want to finish top four, considering what it looks like, considering what it looks like after Forest, Newcastle away, City at home, Arsenal away. It will be Chelsea in there somewhere, then Liverpool away, and then to finish up with these two. Hopefully we've stayed in and amongst it in this period if we haven't done enough, and then Burnley and Sheffield United are your 6 pointers at the end, right? So if you need those two, well, those two will probably be down by then, won't they? Let's be honest.
Spursy, that last fixture there, when you're going there needing a point against a team that's relegated.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
But last year, was it last year or the year before? We finished. It was 6-0, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was the year before, wasn't it? No, Norwich. We went to Norwich last game of the season and we won 6-0 when we beat Arsenal to top four.
Yeah.
But there's two of your wins, right? Hopefully, there's two of your wins. Is there?
We'll beat Arsenal at home. We'll beat Arsenal at home. We always do.
That Liverpool game.
That's a hard. Liverpool's a hard one. City's a hard one. That's a really tricky one. You hope that that's a win. So that's your third win. Yeah. Fourth win, Luton. You need Wolves and Palace, right? Because Chelsea away is tricky. Villa away is tricky. West Ham away is tricky. City at home, tricky. Newcastle away, tricky. Liverpool away, very tricky. You need to beat, if you want to finish top four, these two, you have to win the next two games, in my opinion.
Do you know what? The Wolves game, you traditionally go back and look at, Spurs Wolves, always tight occasions. They can always turn us over. I think of them as a bit of a bogey team. I remember Pavlyuchenko and Robbie Keane having to come up with a bit of magic to be able to put them away. I think it was under Jose Mourinho, didn't do great against Wolves. I think under Pochettino didn't fare too well against Wolves. Under Nuno, we bet them 1-0 at the start of the season, but they absolutely pummeled us that day. They turned us over earlier on in the season as well, with a couple of minutes to spare. That's going to be a very, very tricky game.
Yeah. But if you don't do it, if you lose there and Man United win, and listen, we were speaking earlier about the sign of a good team is a team that, is playing badly but getting the points done. I think that's a sign of if a team is doing that occasionally, right? If they are playing well and winning most of the time, and then when they play badly occasionally and they still get the points, that's a sign of a good team. A team that doesn't play very well most of the time and still finds a way to win. I'm not sure how you analyze that and what you describe that as, but Manchester United have been absolutely terrible all season. They haven't really played well at all, barring a couple of games, and they're 6 points behind us.
You know why, Sean? I think football this season has not been a great level. I think it's a poor league this season for quality. That's my personal opinion. Newcastle have disappointed. Chelsea have disappointed. Man United have disappointed. So, there's three positions there that we could have. I think we really need to win our next two games and go into that Villa game with a minimum of a draw. If we can get a draw from the Villa and win those two games, what's worrying me is when they realign that postponed Chelsea game and don't dump it in between Man City and Liverpool, because I can see them doing that. Are Spurs going to complain about the fixture there when they dump them in and give us 2 days rest?
If we do, it'll be like absolutely
that's
ridiculed.
what's going to happen.
Tottenham are complaining about fixture congestion. They've only played 40 games this entire season.
Yeah, and then we're going to dump us in with 2 days in between games. In between that, yeah, I can see it happening.
What I will just also add is if we can win all them games up to the City-Liverpool game and the Arsenal game, might be in a title race. Could be in our own hands by then either.
Yeah, listen, look.
Wait a minute. I'll bring up Cooper's chat in a minute. Cooper, that's awesome. Thank you very much for super chat. I'm going to bring that up in a second. Sorry, Dave. Are we still in a title race? Is this something we need to get back to here?
1%.
Look, you know me, Sean. I can't give it up until it's mathematically impossible. And I just think, and I've sort of said this all season long, we can hang in there until we get that run of fixtures where you've got Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. It's in your own hands then. You go and win all them games, you could end up winning the title. Look, I'm not saying it's on, but there's an outside chance if we can replicate the 10-game run we had at the start of the season from here on out up until them games. Who knows? Who knows?
Do you see Liverpool dropping 8 points between now and the end of the season? If they'd have to drop it against us, that's 3 points. So it's 5 more points dropped.
Well, depends, Sean. Like, you know,
if Tottenham were to go on and win every single game, if we were to go maximum points from here.
But they've got Europe, don't forget. They've got Man
Europe.
City coming up on the 10th of March as well. You know, they're still in the FA Cup. They've got the EFL Cup final and stuff like that. So they've still got a lot of games. And potentially,
mate, you're pumping me up. How many points are still available?
Like, you know, they've still got Brighton to play. They've still got United. Crystal Palace, bogey team for Liverpool. It's possible.
We never stop. We never stop, mate.
So there's 14 games left. That's 42. Is that right? 14, 28, 4. There's 42 points available. So that would get us to 89 points. Is 89 points enough to win the league? It's not. Is it 90 points usually gets you the league? 89 points?
I think you might need more.
So Tottenham need to win every single game. And if we win every single game, then that means we've taken 3 points from Arsenal, 3 points from City, and 3 points from Liverpool. So all we need is Liverpool, City, and Arsenal to drop about 3 or 4 or 5 points more each.
They still have each other to play.
And they got to play each other. They got to play each other occasionally, right? We're still in it. It's in our hands, guys. It's in our hands.
Sheffield, you can see us going to Sheffield United on the last day of the season. Only needed to beat Sheffield United away, who've been relegated to win the league. And guess what? It goes tits up.
Imagine that. Imagine that if there's a story. Unbelievably, Tottenham Hotspur, if they win at Bramall Lane today against lowest points scoring Sheffield United in the history of the Premier League, if they win today, Tottenham win the trophy for the first time since 1961, and we go and get beaten 3-0. So Spursy. So Spursy. That would be absolutely delightful. So what we do, it's back to reality. Is 71 points, eight wins doable?
Yeah, I think we can't anything less than, you know. Let's be serious. You know, you can't expect. I don't think you can expect to be in Champions League if you don't get another 8 wins. And you're looking at those games. I would expect us to get those if you know we go back to the form that we had pre-season. But listen, we've been lucky. You know, we beat Man United at home, and they could have easily been in the lead. We were lucky against Liverpool. We were lucky against Sheffield United, a last-minute goal. You know, I don't think, you know, we're not a fixed team yet. So there are lots of shocks both ways.
Have we won or lost more points in the last 5 minutes this season? We gained points against Liverpool, against Sheffield United. We lost points against Wolves, against Everton.
We lost 5 points, Sean.
You gained against Brighton as well, don't forget.
Manchester City. Yeah, Man City have lost 6 points in the 90th minute going forward. We've lost 5, incredibly.
Wow. Okay.
Because a lot of those goals have been
irrelevant. Yeah.
Some of them.
Jory with a super chat. Big up, Jory. I didn't even see this, mate. Sorry, my attention's not on the super chats today. Sorry about that. First 10 games, we had fitness advantage and tactical surprise. Now we don't. Flood the midfield and our attack stops and the defense is compromised.
Yeah.
It's because everyone knows we don't have the wingers. We do, you know, they look for us. They give us the space out wide. They give it to Brennan Johnson because they know they don't have the end product. That's why they block up the middle and show us out wide right now. Now that Sonny's back, hopefully you might see that change a little.
Yeah. Does he start against Wolves?
It has to, especially with the impact he's come off the bench. You know, he has to start. He's our only world class forward, you know, that can do it all. Not only score goals, you know, he doesn't need to rely on balls in behind. You know, he can get on the ball, run at players, take them out. He can put crosses in from different angles. He can score goals from outside the box. He has to start
Alongside
Richarlison and Kulusevski for me.
Johnny?
Who's starting? Did you say Kulu to start?
Sonny, Kulu,
Yeah,
and
Kulu
Ricky.
on the right.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I didn't think Kulu had a great game, and then he didn't start having a great game. Sorry, I'll correct myself. Then he came onto himself and started to really.
Second half, he was the best player, I thought.
Yeah,
until he got taken off,
and then that pass for Papa Sarr, the weight on that pass was superb, and then he gets dragged off. I was at a loss to understand it. You've waited like 50, 60 minutes for a guy to come good. He's had 5-10 minutes where he's on the game, and then you pull him. You know, if I was a player, I was going, I didn't start very well, but just as I started to hit the ground running, I've just got an assist, and you've dragged me off. You know?
But does Kulusevski get to the back post like Brennan Johnson does in the 96th minute?
For me,
Brennan Johnson played that ball that Kulusevski played to Sarr.
Yeah, look, I've got to tell you, right?
True, absolutely not, Dave. He doesn't.
I think Kulu is one of the most infuriating players because he has undoubted skill. The thing is, for me, stay behind after training and work on your weak foot, mate. And just
he hasn't got a weak foot. He's got a weak mind. He doesn't want to use his weak foot. His weak foot is brilliant. I've never seen him make a mistake with his right foot.
You're running back towards the goal. You're running towards the goal. The defenders are running backwards, right? Hit the ball. Just hit the ball first. Nothing a defender hates more than running back towards his goal, trying to clear a ball. But as soon as you check back on your other foot, the defender has time to turn and face the ball. You're done. They can defend it.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I hear you, Johnny, right? And if Kulu wants to take that next step from where he is to be able to sort of go on and become world class, he does have to work on his other foot. You know, he has to be able to manipulate the ball on 2 feet, 100%. However, I do think people are a bit harsh on Kulusevski. If I'm correct, I read out a stat at the weekend that came from the BBC. Doesn't Kulusevski have the most chances created from open play this season more than any other Premier League player? Yeah. You know, so he is creating chances. He's more lethal at creating chances than any other player we've got in the team. But I do hear you. Work on that weak foot, he goes to another level completely.
I've never seen, whenever he's used it, he's always been great with it. I just don't think he likes to use it. I don't understand. It's like someone who's like, I don't know, brilliant painting, but decides to run marathons for a living. No, you've got a brilliant talent, mate, with your hands. Like, go and use it. You know, I don't know why he doesn't use his right foot more.
Do you know what it is? When he drops his shoulder, comes in on his left, he's much more quicker at doing that than what he is going on his right foot. And that's why I think he always favors cutting on his left, because he's so much quicker at it. It buys him a little bit more time. Whereas if he goes on his right foot, he doesn't get as much time because it's not natural. You know what I mean? So it takes him.
Why don't we ever put him out on the left-hand side then, Dave? Why does he have to play as an inverted winger when we've already got inverted fullbacks? Why don't you just put him on the left?
We had this conversation back in preseason. I remember saying to you back in preseason,
we've all said it. Yeah,
only on the right. You know,
love to see it.
What's been disappointing for me, Dave? Right, I said, right from as soon as Ange signed him, signed for us, should I say, I really wanted to see Kulu come into the middle and really grab his opportunity. And I feel, you have to grab your opportunities in football. There wasn't going to be a better time for him to grab the opportunity to prove that he can play in that position and dominate games, with all the injuries that we have. And I don't feel he's grabbed that opportunity. And, when he's gone back out to that right-hand side, just shoot with your right foot. There's been times he's in the box and he wants to take another touch and come inside. You're giving the defender time. If you hit a shot with your right foot, doesn't matter if it comes off a defender, it ricochets out for another player, but you're losing possession. And then the ball comes back out and then we're back to try and build the play again. I feel we lose so many opportunities. Really do. We're told to be brave. from the back of the pitch, out from the goalkeeper through the midfield. Just be brave and try and do it with your right foot inside the box.
But you know what? This is where I was saying earlier on, Johnny. I think when Sean was asking what's the next tools to be implemented, I think taking a lot more risk going forward. I think right now it's very safe because we don't want to be in a position where we're constantly tracking back on the counter. You know, I think the next sort of thing into this team is telling the wingers, take more responsibility, be a lot more braver. You know, stop coming back inside all the time, passing it across the middle, looking for the perfect goal. Take risks.
Correct. And I think for me, the final third is still not working anywhere near what it could do. And that's what I'm saying. I totally agree. We're risking from the back. We're risking passes through the middle. But we're not taking enough risk, I feel, up front.
Spot.
Just super quickly, but I'm going to come to Kuba. Dean Glover. Hello, mate. We have debates on this channel all the time. Like I don't have people on that I agree with. I have people on that I like.
It's just
I know, but like Dave and I are really close mates, and yet a couple of weeks ago he was winding me up, reminding me about Gift Orban. I was trying to explain to him how that even though he thinks we should never have sold Harry Kane, it was inevitable. But we have heated debates all the time.
Do you know what it is? Because we're not shouting heads off each other. We've disagreed on things today, but it's because we're not shouting the heads off each other. I think is why maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, no, he wants to shout up. He wants us to scream.
I love having conversations, I love having debates, but I like having people on that I like. There's people that I don't particularly like who I won't have on, but people who I have on, I all like. But that doesn't mean that we have to agree. I mean, the back in the day, the leading debate,
with you on nearly everything, Sean.
Everything, mate. Absolutely everything. I mean, you are completely delusional. Absolutely.
I'm not coming on with Dave again, right? He talks such a load of crap, honestly. And that's for you, Sean.
I think, Dean, you're being unfair, man. I think you're being unfair, Dean. I think I've disagreed with Johnny and Sean at times.
Yeah, no, we disagree all the time. I think
each other.
Yeah, last
week.
Next week.
Tune in
next week when we'll be talking about. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, what's Kuba's super chat? Kuba's super chat is
71 points. There we go.
He said Liverpool and City. Oh, what's going on? Liverpool.
I was trying to help you.
Dave's double clicking on it. Liverpool and City are the only two teams to fear, in my opinion. With key players now returning, I don't see why 8 wins from 14 should be doable. 71 points is decent. Yeah, it'd be a fantastic return for Tottenham. I think we can actually outperform eight wins, but if you drop points against Wolves, it becomes incredibly more difficult, especially as if United. Who have United got? I think they've got a fairly easy team on the weekend. They have got. Who have they got? Man United. Man United have got Luton Town next away. Actually,
I'd love to see them do them. I'd love to see. I love. Do you know what? You know, you always have a club you have affection for, right? I mean,
I really like. I've grown to like Luton recently.
There's something about Edwards and that whole camaraderie there. I mean, I think when we got out of that game at home, away from home. I love that ground. It really made me laugh. But I feel we got away with one. But then now you look back on it, right? That was a great away win with 10 men. I feel really, it was a really gutsy performance. But,
I'd argue we've been one of the only convincing teams to actually turn up to Luton this year. Down to 10 men. I think we handled the game incredibly well. In terms of putting Kulu up front, using him as the outball, get us up the pitch and stuff like that. You've seen a lot of other teams go to Luton and really
that was a masterful. That performance from Kulu that day was like bravo, sir! Absolutely sensational.
Him and Porro was fantastic.
Porro was awesome as well. But, Jamie I said, "Hi Sean, I love your content. You're top of my FPL league. Come on, you Spurs." You know what, Jamie? Credit where it's due. Even though my FPL team is how many people are in it? Let's have a look. Let me get your team up. What are you doing? Oh, you're on 14. Hang on, am I sharing it? Congratulations to you, mate. 1,480 points thus far. 83 points in the most recent season. Maybe we need to come to you for some tactical advice if you're Unbelievable. You're 64,000th in the whole of the world on
Wow.
Fantasy League. Very, very impressive, mate.
Good.
Very impressive.
Very good.
And you've got an Arsenal player in there, though. Boo. Shouldn't be doing that, mate.
You're better than that, Jamie.
You're better than that, mate. You don't need them. Come on. And one more super chat from Jory's back in saying, let's all have a big fight next time I'm in town. Yeah, we can be friends and still fight.
None of this friend stuff. None of this friend stuff. It's not box office TV. Sean, you were going to talk about the coefficient for the 5th place.
I can't. I looked through it. I can't find the most up to date things. But in a nutshell,
we're behind at the moment. We're in position.
If it was to finish where it finishes, right, it won't obviously because we've got teams in every single competition. But if it was to finish where it was, then 5th place wouldn't get the European spot. But it's like the difference in the coefficients of what's earned this season is minuscule. So all to play for between Spain, Germany, Italy, and England, and 2 countries of the 4 will get that 5th spot. And so in a weird way, we are rooting for Arsenal to do quite well in the Champions League, but not that well. We're rooting for Aston Villa to get to the final of the Conference League, but not win it. And we want Liverpool and West Ham to do as well as they can, but not win. We get them to the semi-final and actually give us enough coefficiency points to get the 5th spot.
So, Sean, what happens if Aston Villa win the Europa Cup, the Europa League?
I don't think an extra spot goes to the champ. I think they'll get that position, but I don't think it goes to like the 6th team in the Premier League.
So what I'm saying is if they win the Europa League,
they'll win the Champions League,
and we finish 5th, and they finish below Man United. Do we?
Oh, right. I thought you were saying.
Wasn't there a ruling with that years ago when that happened between Liverpool and someone else? Wasn't there? There was a ruling.
We got thrown out one year, didn't we?
Yeah, we got thrown out because of Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea bet Bayern Munich. But after Liverpool, there was a year where Liverpool, I think, went and won it, but they didn't finish in the league in that position. And someone in the league ended up having to drop their place, and it was awarded to Liverpool. But I think they changed the rule after that.
It won't matter anyway because Villa are in the Conference League. Completely forgot. So if they do win, they're only going. They'll go into the Europa League.
So it's only Liverpool. Who else is in that? Just Liverpool.
No, Liverpool's in the Europa League and West Ham are in the Europa League. Arsenal in the Champions League with City. Man United are out of everything. Newcastle are out of everything.
Yeah.
And Villa are in the Conference League.
Unless West Ham win the.
West Ham aren't winning the Champions, but Liverpool might win the Europa League.
Yeah.
But they'll finish in the Champions League anyway. So, but that
won't affect.
They'll be fine. Won't affect us. Right, lads, we've been going for 2 hours. Sorry, it's usually a lot shorter than this, but it's been absolutely sensational conversation as ever. Dave, what is coming up? I'm going to plug everyone's channels and also going to remind you guys once again about Blaine's charitable cycle Just Giving page, which I'm going to donate to just in a second. Dave, what's coming up on the Irish Hotspur, my man?
First of all, if everyone could get over and check out the update I do every Monday on the loan players on how they're getting on, that'd be absolutely brilliant. You know, I'm literally making off scraps of information. It takes me ages to put together. You know, checking all the various teams' social medias, the news outlets, and, you know, trying to find everything I need. It takes for bloody ever. So if you could get over there and smash a like on that, that'd be awesome. Yep. And then I'm toying today whether to put out something about the under-21s and the academies on how they're progressing, or whether to take a day off. But I think I might put out something on the academy.
Get to work, you lazy git. Do some bloody work.
Do you know? And so I think I might put that out today, and then tomorrow I will be off because it's Valentine's Day, and your boy will be absolutely busy. So you won't see me on screen tomorrow.
Sure. Listen, Dave, what we could do, you could drop that down and you and I meet up and have a fight and beam it straight to Sean Glover. We can fight over a dozen red roses.
There you go. Nice. And some chocolates.
Well, donut in the mix. That's when you'll see a fight.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Oh my God, I'm doing my
Johnny, what's coming up on Twitter or with you? When are you doing the spaces again, mate? I missed them.
Oh, no, I've started doing them. I'm sorry, I had done my top up there. I was possessed by Arteta there for a minute.
That's all right.
Yeah, so back doing spaces, not a lot of them, but I will be doing them. In fact, I had a few people DM me in the last week, so I need to get back doing that. But You can find me on Tottenham on Tour. You can find me on Tottenham on Tour with Anger Management, which will be on Sunday, 12 o'clock after the Wolves game. And you can find me on Twitter, Johnny H3232. Give me a follow there, which you'll see me, find me on the spaces. But also, if you get time, to give me a follow on my Instagram account, which is the link's in there. It's been an absolute nightmare.
Let's Talk Tottenham. Is that your...
Let's Talk Tottenham 1882. Yeah.
Let's Talk Tottenham 1882. Okay.
I don't even go there. I like over 9,000 followers. I had great interaction. I had some great followers, and then all of a sudden I broke a rule. If you want to get your bits and pieces out, right, that's all right. But God forbid you post an elbow incident.
The videos that I see on I don't know how my feed has been algorithmically pushed into the direction it has, but I pop into Instagram every now and again. I scroll through the feed and I see people dying in accidents.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
see
all right.
Horrendous stuff, and then I see the next thing is some girl or guy with their bits and pieces out. But yeah, you can't put out a decent bit of Tottenham content.
No, it was a 4-second clip of Louise or I can't remember who it was, elbowing Brian Gill in the face. It was like a literally a 3 or 4 second clip. Copyright FPL. Anyway, it is what it is. So I'm trying to build it up. So if you are on Instagram, pop on there and give us a follow. But love being here on our
cheers, Johnny.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, whenever it may be.
Yeah, at some point in the week. It's supposed to be Tuesdays at lunchtime, which it has been today, but it could be any time. So keep a lookout for your favorite show, guys. Just last quick request: if you haven't already, please hit that link as well. Go over to the second channel on there. Even though this one is streaming today, generally speaking, I'm going to be doing. I might even change the name to Football Inc. and something like that, because make it about football finance. I've got a video I'm about to record about some updates to the German. This might put you off subscribing to it, but the German Bundesliga's media rights they've just sold to CVC Capital. It's going to make German football have a lot more money. All the teams are getting about 100 million quid or something, 50 million quid each, so it's going to give them a lot more money to compete. Was ist das? Yeah, wunderbar. So it's going to be so a video about that, and I've got some other stuff coming out around FFP next couple of days as well. So keep a lookout for that. And lastly, guys, sorry for the requests, but support my man Blaine. He's doing the work, the Lord's work over in Ireland, and the link is right there. I'll be donating in just a second. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you for joining in. Get over to Dave and Johnny and all the other links as well. We'll see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, and all that. And as always, come on,
you Spurs.
And if you're new here, subscribe to Shawnee too. You forgot to say that.